Greetings, Rebel fans. My name is Jason Kelly. This is the Let's Run podcast. I want to welcome you all to the show today. We are talking the LA Bowl, your UNLV football team, the matchup versus Cal. Who's Cal going to be starting at quarterback? Game time is just about an hour away. Lots of good things going on here. If you didn't know, Cal lost their starting quarterback. His name was Fernando Mendoza. It's been pretty fun to see a lot of media outlets talking about this game, not mentioning that Fernando Mendoza is not the starting quarterback for Cal anymore. And yeah, so Cal is about their starting quarterback. They've had a few players opt out. But if you see, the news around the Cal football program, there has been a lot of positive momentum for them despite, losing Mendoza. It is believed from what I have read that Justin Wilcox will be the starting quarterback for the Cal Golden Bears tonight. That's what I believe from what I have read online. Don't know a ton about him. Looking at Cal's record on the year, Cal went 6-6 in the ACC. They played a pretty difficult schedule, all things considered. Cal lost a heartbreaker of a game early to Florida State that they probably really should have pulled out. They lost a ridiculous game to Miami, a game that they absolutely should have won at home. They lost another really close game to Pittsburgh, and then another incredibly close game to NC State. Those were all less than basically they're essentially one possession games. Cal in the middle of the season. And, Cal started out 3-0, victories over Auburn, a comfortable victory over San Diego State, but really fell apart in the middle of their season. Now, they did pick it up as the season went on. They were able to absolutely demolish Oregon State. They won at Wake Forest, the place where Mike Dickert, the head coach for the Washington State Cougar, lost to Syracuse, the same UNLV, and they ended up their season with a non-competitive loss to SMU in Dallas. So you look at Cal; they've had kind of an up and down year. Certainly, Chandler Rogers could be the starting quarterback for Cal tonight. In fact, maybe that's the name that I'm reading. But looking at Cal's receiver room, I believe they've kept most of their receivers in place. Receiving yards, Isaiah Hunter is their leading wide receiver. Not a great year for him. Sorry, it's a good year, but they don't really have any single receiver that had like a fantastic year. They kind of like to spread the ball around. I don't know if Jack Endries is playing in this game. Let me just check that real quick. I apologize for that. So Jack Endries is their tight end, kind of one of their better receiving options. Rebels will have to keep him, in check. They also have a guy named, and Jack Endries is actually their leading receiver in terms of number of catches. He had an average of 11.5 yards per catch. But their leading receiver, Hunter, they really like to spread it around. They've got, 6 guys over 200 yards. Another thing that you'll probably see from Cal is Jaden Ott, which is their running back. He also, gets balls thrown to him in the backfield. Yeah, I believe he did. So it is Hunter, I believe, went into the into the transfer portal. Honestly, this Cal roster is a little bit of a mystery at this moment, just because it's had a lot more turnover than even the Rebels have. If you look at the Rebels, I believe even Tony Grimes, who is pretty much all but confirmed to be in the transfer portal at this point, pretty sad. I was hoping that Coach Mullen could keep him for his last year of eligibility. At the same time, I know that Grimes had a pretty good year, so I don't blame him for leaving, and I know he'll go do great things. But Ricky White is playing in this game. Hodge Malik Williams is playing in this game. Jackson Woodard is playing in this game. UNLV is being led by Dell Alexander. And they have a lot more roster continuity than Cal does. In fact, I'm shocked that the line hasn't flipped to being to favoring UNLV for this game. I would, favor the Rebels by 4 or 5 in this game. I think that's probably the right number. Now, is that going to be the ultimate result? You never know. I mean, certainly, certainly, Cal still has pretty good talent. Um, and I wouldn't expect, Cal to come in and fold and be be kind of a pushover style team. However, UNLV should be favored for this in this game, and it is favored in this game, and for good reason. Well, sorry, they aren't favored in this game, but they should be favored in this game, and for good reason. Um, so I don't really know what to think of this Cal team. I'm pretty sure their defense is mostly, it is mostly the same. Teddy Buchanan, I don't think he transferred. I got to make sure. Did Teddy Buchanan, did he transfer? No. So that is their leading tackler, Teddy Buchanan. He had 43 solo tackles on the year. Really had a really excellent year at the linebacker position, kind of like our version of their version of Jackson Woodard. Um, yeah, and this is another thing that's confusing me. Thanks, Adrian, for this. Um, the money in the betting in this game has been really bizarre. And this game's being played on a Wednesday, which means that there's not a lot going on in the in the coaching search world. Sorry, in the sports world. I believe because it's the day after the NBA Cup, there are no NBA games on tonight. Obviously, the NFL is not on tonight. Um, so I mean, this game's going to have a little bit of attention on it. I mean, it's not a marquee matchup, and but yeah, I mean, with all the coaching changes, but again, like I guess I don't know how good this Cal team really is. I mean, they did lose 4 close games in a row. We know from following the Running Rebel basketball team that losing close games to good teams, like sure, it's fine, it's better than being blown out, but ultimately a loss is a loss. So the fact that they're 6-6, um, I really just don't quite know what to make of this Cal team. There's certainly a scenario in this game where we get where it's not that close and we don't do very well, and our team just is missing its coaching leading, its leaders as coaches. Um, Brennan Marion did take the job at Sacramento State, which, by all accounts, I think is a pretty good hire from Sacramento State. Certainly, I had seen the rumors, just like everybody else, that Sacramento State was targeting Michael Vick, of all people, to be their head coach. And I think that's just kind of, I think that's pretty ridiculous, especially with the stuff connected to Michael Vick. I mean, Michael Vick's obviously a great player, and I don't think somebody should be you know, held to the worst thing that they've ever done. But I don't know. I don't know that Michael Vick has ever shown coaching chops really. So I thought taking Brendan Marion over Michael Vick was probably a very good decision for Sacramento State. Um, However, with the House settlement, Sacramento State doesn't seem like this. This is the reason why I would think that Brendan Marion was making a mistake almost by going Sacramento State. It's not a mistake because they've clearly invested some serious money into their athletics. But with the House settlement, there doesn't seem to be an appetite for moving FCS schools up to the FBS level right now. So Brendan Marion's gone. So who's going to be the play caller? There's been a lot of jokes that it's going to be um, Jacob DeJesus. Um, I was looking through the staff, and nobody really, jumped out to me. I think honestly, the best bet is that it's going to be Dell Alexander. That would be my. He's going to call plays from the sideline. That would be my best guess. That guy has a lot of experience, and again, like with the experience that this team has, especially on the offensive side, I just don't know that they need for a 1 game sample. Now it could come back and bite them in the butt, and it could be a terribly called game. But like this is a senior laden group, and I guess I just kind of trust them to figure it out, regardless of who's calling the plays. You can look. I know that there are people on UNLV's staff that know the playbook. Backwards and forwards. It wasn't just Brendan Marion was there for 2 years, and a lot of that staff stayed the same. And so I assume that there's 7 or 8 people that I think on the staff that could do a good, a reasonable job at calling this game. Um, so I'm not really worried about who's calling plays. Yeah, I think, and thanks, man. I appreciate the contributions here. If you guys comment, I will put it up on the screen. Um, yeah, I'd run a lot of RPO. I think Jet had really shown some growth in this season. Run the RPO with Jet. See if you can fling the ball to Ricky a little bit. I think Ricky's draft stock probably isn't quite as high as I had hoped it would be at this point. I mean, I think Ricky's an NFL player 8 days a week. But I would run some RPO, see if you can throw Ricky open, let Jet kind of run amok on the field. Um, and this is probably Hodge Malik Williams' last collegiate game. I mean, it is his last collegiate game. He's not an NFL guy. I don't know if he has a future in football. So what I would say is run a lot of have some QB runs, designed QB runs, not just the pitch, but don't be afraid to call some design runs. And I would tell Hodge not to hesitate in the pocket. Take off, man. I mean, you got nothing to lose here. Obviously, you want to take care of your health just for life in general, but like Hodge has absolutely nothing to lose in this game. Go for it, man. Don't sit back in the pocket. Take off like Sluka did early on in the season. It's better just to take off than take a sack and or um, throw a bad interception. So that's what I would tell Hodge today. Really just kind of go for it. Because this is it. This is probably it for Hodge. It definitely is it for Hodge. I you look at the JUCO. This is something kind of interesting I wanted to talk about. Before I gave you guys my score prediction. But if you didn't see today, Diego Paiva at Vanderbilt, who had been a JUCO quarterback and a JUCO player, was basically granted through injunction an extra year of eligibility. Um, Now, Hodge, that wouldn't apply to Hodge because obviously he's a D2 player, not a JUCO player. But that decision by the court could have massive implications for Rebel basketball, Rebel football. It could mean that JUCO players get extra eligibility. Um, I don't think that that's going to be sustainable ultimately. Um, I don't think you can have guys have 3 years of play in JUCO and and then set 4 years of play in Division I football. Seems to me like there has to be congressional action here to fix this, eligibility issue, to fix the NIL issue, to fix the transfer portal issue. There's just a lot going on right now. If you didn't catch it, I was on a space last night with a lot of the guys talking about the Mountain West and the Pac-12. And there's just a lot of crazy stuff going on right now, and you don't really know what's going to happen. So what I would suggest to Rebel fans is, we have basically 8 months or so of no Rebel football after this. That's going to be pretty sad, because I know a lot of us are hyped up for the Dan Mullen era to begin, as I am as well. I can't wait for it. I think it's going to be the most fun lead up to a season in the history of Rebel football. But take a minute to enjoy the seniors today. The seniors that have helped build this program into what it is. There's a lot of great things going on right now, and you should appreciate them. So, as for my score prediction for this game, I'm going to take the Rebels by about 10, 31-21. That's kind of how I see this game going. Um, and yeah, this is a great question. How many players do I think get drafted? Um, I think Catalan gets drafted. That's a player that I would be surprised wouldn't be drafted. I think Ricky White's going to be drafted. I thought Ricky had second or third round potential as a wide receiver, but I think it's going to be a little later, fifth or sixth round. Um, Woodard, I think Woodard should get drafted. I think Woodard, White, Catalan. I don't know about Tiger Shanks. I haven't really looked at his numbers as a prospect, as an NFL prospect. I think he has the physical talent for it, but yeah, I really don't know. But I would expect at least three of those five names. I think the Rebels are going to have three players drafted: White, Woodard, and Catalan. And I mean, maybe they won't. I don't think they're going to. Maybe two, honestly. It'll probably be White and Catalan, and maybe Woodard will go undrafted. I think Woodard's going to get some play in the NFL though, for sure. Again, I don't really know about Tiger and Catalan. I mean, part of me thinks that he will, but I really don't know. But I would expect two Rebels to be drafted, which I can't remember the last time UNLV had two players drafted, but that would be my expectation going into the NFL season, and it'll be fun. And hopefully, we can root on Ricky and Woodard in the pros on Sundays. But as for the bowl game, let's live it up. It's a great environment, great venue. The SoFi Stadium, if you haven't been, which I actually haven't been, so from what everything that I can see, SoFi Stadium looks like an awesome place to play. Not as good as the Raiders, not as good as Allegiant Stadium, but I'm seeing the Rebels pulling this one out 31-21. Um, I would love to say that I have some great detailed analysis as to why, but I just really don't know what to expect from this Cal team. And the Rebels, I don't expect the coaching change, at least in this one game sample, will have any effect on whether they win the game or not. I don't think it's going to affect it at all. Um, yeah, I'd love to see Woodard on the Raiders because the Raiders suck, and I think Woodard would help them. So hopefully that all happens. Hopefully it's a fun win. I will go live directly after the game. We can talk about it. We can talk a little bit more about the future of UNLV athletics. Hopefully we get the Hodge show. Hodge, let it rip, man. Let it go. Let it fly. It's your last game ever, Hodge. So we love Hodge. We think he's great, and go show him what you got. So appreciate you all checking this show out. I'll talk to you all after the game, and let's run. Woo.